Okay, we have started the stream and have not dropped a million frames, so we are good to go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Sound Goblin Thursday gaming session, where we're going to be playing something a little different from Solasta now that we're done with that game. Uh, what you are looking at is a game from 1992 called Quest for Glory, specifically Quest for Glory 1, So You Want to Be a Hero. Uh, I have been in the mood to show this off to the group for a while. I know a couple members of the group. I think Bograt, you have experience with this series?
Have played every entry in the series that is worth playing.
Fair enough. Speaking of people in the chat with me, I am the Krampus.
Bograt.
I'm Shiv.
I'm under rain.
And I am eating dinner.
All right.
/ changing clothes.
Hi, eating dinner.
It's also worth noting this game is now called Quest for Glory. When it was originally released, it was called Hero Quest, and Games Workshop had a problem with that.
Yes, that is actually one of the reasons that they changed the name from Hero Quest to Quest for Glory. And then that whole lawsuit went through, but they decided that they liked the name, so they stuck with Quest for Glory. So this is one of the, I wouldn't know if I call it lesser known titles, but it definitely doesn't get brought up in the same breath as a lot of Sierra's more popular titles. It is a point and
It's
click.
not treated at the same level as like King's Quest or Space Quest.
No. I still like it though, and truth be told, this was one of the first adventure games that I ever played with my dad on a busted ass 486 computer. So I've got a lot of nostalgia for the series as a whole. We are going to get started here with the introduction. I hope I have toned down the music enough to combat the MIDI.
Boom, boom.
No, not again, never again.
It's not ear-splitting green sleeves. It's still pretty loud, but not ear-splitting green sleeves. Like, you may actually want to adjust levels if you can, because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The moment I get access to a game screen and get access to drop the sound levels, I absolutely am going to do that.
I would just drop it.
Problem is I can't skip over these now that I've started.
Yeah, but you should be able to get your start with the game.
There we go.
So, one of the things of note about Quest for Glory, as opposed to something simpler like King's Quest or Space Quest, is there are some significant RPG elements to it. You actually have a class and skills and stuff.
Yes. So here's what we're going to be doing for our playthrough. We have to wait for it to actually rotate around back to the...
Definitely a choice.
Yep. Okay. So what we're going to be doing for our playthrough is I am going to be doing 2 playthroughs simultaneously of this game. One is going to be done on stream and live, and we will occasionally be cutting in to see what the other adventurer would be doing in a similar scenario. Our point of view character here is going to be the magic user. The magic user, as you might expect, is garbage at fighting, but gets a whole bunch of magic tricks that they can do to either avoid combat or make combat easier. Give me 1 second. So we have various stats here, and the stats are more or less important depending on who you are. Intelligence determines how many magic points we have, and magic determines how powerful our magic is in general, so those are the 2 stats we're going to focus on. We get 50 points to allocate to stats. We also have skills over here that we can allocate points to. And we can only increment them in increments of 5.
Mm.
So we are going to
Increase our luck by 50.
no.
There is a glitch we can already exploit here. We won't do it, but there is a way to get infinite points.
Yes, there is a way to get infinite points. I don't remember the exact method to do it, but
You add 5 points to basically a useless skill. So in the instance of like say magic user, you would add it to like pick locks because you're not gonna have thief. Then use page up to add points again, and then you can infinitely take away points from that skill.
right.
Ah.
So that, and we're gonna put some points in vitality because everyone needs vitality. So it is important to note that what you start with actually has meaning. If you have 0 in a skill, you can never gain that skill. So we can learn more dodge, we can learn more weapon use, but unless we put points into parry or stealth or pick locks or throwing or climbing, we will never get that skill or ever be able to raise that skill in the game. As a result, mages pick up none of these, really. You can pick them up if you want and train them up to be just as good as the other classes at that particular thing, but the magic user gets magic to do 90% of the things anyway. So with that, we just have a name left. Any suggestions before I go with a default?
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, I already threw out my joke title in the Discord.
Yeah, I think it's a little more heavy-handed than we're going to go with, so we're just going to go with Nestor.
Oh man, that brings back memories of Nintendo Power Magazine.
Mm-hmm. And thus we begin. Now, I will note, this game was originally a EGA game, like old school King's Quest 1 style text parser game. I will not be doing any of the EGA versions of the early games. Partially because this game on EGA is kind of annoying.
Okay, can you explain why Shenron's there?
That's your cursor.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
This is the Sheriff of Spielberg.
Wow, that's one of the dumbest wishes anyone has ever made.
So yeah, we have come from a faraway village because we have followed the Adventurers Correspondence School and gotten the manual So You Want to Be a Hero, which is where the name of the game comes from. We came over the mountains, and now the mountains have snowed over, so we can't go back home. This is Sheriff Schultz Meisterson, and this is Otto von Goon, his assistant. So, to briefly go over, if you've played a Sierra Adventure game, you know the controls for this game. You've got your walk, your look, your take/use, and your talk. We have, first off, the most important thing. That I can rebalance the audio over here in OBS.
I can hear you much better over its audio, so yes, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Just want to do that before we do anything else, and we're going to save here. Scum VM uses the Scum VM system for saving games. You do have the option of using the in-game save, but you really don't want to do that to yourself. It limits you to X number with X characters and a name. Just easier to do this. So we can ask him about various topics. We're going to go through and we're going to do not quite Cliff Notes, but there's not a lot of dialogue in the game, partially because this was an EGA title and the size limitations were even more than they were back then. This game came out on floppy disks.
I'm assuming the floppiest of discs.
Uh,
No.
Small floppy disks actually, 3.5.
Oh.
or 3.25.
So 3.5s, yeah.
3.5, 5.25. The sizes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been that long. I had to remind myself. But yeah, the town of Spielberg and the surrounding area used to be a nice place, but now it's just stuffed to the brim with brigands. He's telling you about all the various places that we can go. The Baron of Spielberg is Baron Stefan, making him Baron Stefan Spielberg. This is the level of jokes that we will be having for the entire game.
I mean, I edited 3 King's Quests, so I'm pretty
Yeah. So we don't need to talk about the buildings. There are monsters in town. There's a lot of monsters outside of town.
Speaking of which, we have 3 pretty or actually edited games of King's Quest up on our YouTube channel. If anyone wants to check that out,
We do.
who is
actually.
listening?
And yeah, so he's not basically he's not going to tell us very much about the town, except for hey, there are various places in town that you can go see.
Speed seems to be locked.
Yes, speed is locked because Otto von Goon is doing his yo-yo tricks again.
Ah.
Now that Otto von Goon is not doing his yo-yo tricks. So this is the inn. If we go to the inn, we can sleep and get a full meal. Eating is a thing in this game. We have 5 rations to start with. We have 4 gold pieces and 10 silver pieces. I am trying to remember. I think it's 100 silvers to a gold. But I'd have to double check that. We have a leather jerkin, and we have a dagger. We want to go over this way. We have the weird shop with the eye. We have Grandma. She's not off a rock.
I get it.
Granny exists for exactly one reason in this game.
Is it for that
And-
pun?
No. Okay, she exists for 2 reasons. Number 1, the pun. Number 2, so the thief can rob her house. Half of this town exists solely so that the thief can rob them. So yeah, this is the Adventurers Guild. This is where you usually first come. We have the traditional heads on the wall, bulletin board for job listings. Baron Spielberg actually killed a dragon.
Or so he says.
You can look at most of the heads here, which are a hint as to most of the monsters that are going to show up in the game. A head of a panther, but with strong human-like qualities. Most of these have been slain by this dude in the chair here. Except for the Antwerp. Slain by 2 guys from Andromeda. There's your obligatory Space Quest reference in a non-Space Quest game. Yeah, with no visitors coming in because of the snow and the bandits, there's no more adventurers, so he mostly just spends his days sleeping here. And again, I'm not going to drill down too much into the talking points. I'm just mostly going to talk about things that we need to, or things that I think are interesting.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was mostly him and Schultz as the leaders of this Adventurers Guild, and they killed most of the monsters that you see on the wall here, including the traditional Adventurers Guild Moosehead. Yes, the weird Antwerps and the continued joke about the two guys from Andromeda. We have the Cheetars. And of course, the Sauruses. And the obligatory for the 90s Barney's dumb joke. Sauruses
Dated humor.
Sauruses are just giant T-Rexes. And they're funny right until you actually run into one in-game. Bernard Spielberg killed a troll over Flying Falls. And you can basically just tap the book with the eye to see several different entries of names. And again, the only thing you get out of it is Wolfgang Abentur and Baron Stefan von Spielberg appear most often in the book. But our first important thing to do in town, we need to sign our name into the Adventurers book. This is worth points.
Yes. A lot of things seem to be worth points.
Yes. So it should be mentioned that every class in the game can earn the full 500 points. There are different methods they do to get the 500 points, but every class has a potential for a perfect score.
Does the score do anything?
No. Like most other King's Quest games, it's exclusively for bragging rights. Return to the Lost Ring, inquire at the healers. Reward of 50 gold coins for the safe return of Elsa von Spielberg. Inquire at the castle gates. Reward of 30 gold coins for the capture or death of Brigand Warlock. Short, ugly, wears brightly colored robes. Has a habit of laughing continually. Inquire at Spielberg castle gates. Wanted the Brigand leader. Description: unknown appearance, wears cloak, must provide proof of the leader's identity. Reward of 60 gold coins, and the title of Hero of the Realm.
Seems a bit much for capturing a brigand leader.
Spell components needed, cash or trade for potions, inquire at the healers. Picture of a handsome but arrogant young man. Reward of 50 gold coins for information leading to the return of Baronet Bernard von Spielberg. And inquire at the castle. So, this is basically your Board-O main quests, along with a couple of secondary things and a really useful thing to know for early game money grinding. You can go deliver potion stuff to the healer. There. We're done here. The game is very slightly finicky about how you leave certain buildings.
Are we going to have to mix potions and then type some very specific sentences in order to actually make it work?
Thankfully, no. We are going to have to mix potions. We're not going to have to type anything.
Is a cat going to be our undoing?
Not in this game. Toaster oven, very rarely used. Electricity hasn't been
Does a
invented yet.
manticore count as a cat?
Will we have to spend 15 minutes in real time?
30.
Well, that's just for the boat ride. We still have to wait for a while to get the wizard to come back, so we'd have enough time to actually do stuff.
Oh, the boat was not the only wait in that game.
So this is Zara. She is mildly more important to the plot than the sheriff of Spielberg is. And yeah, here we get a crash course in all the things you wanted to know about how the magic system in this universe works. So essentially, how magic works is if you have the ability to channel the power with a capital P, then you can cast magic. You can absorb magic into your body and cast spells. In order to be able to get in touch with the power, you have to be trained by someone who is in touch with the power. And yeah, the way we learn magic is we find magical scrolls, and once we find a scroll, we automatically write it into our spellbook. She sells 3 of them, but if we can find 9 and have the ability to cast all of them, and prove ourselves to the Council of basically Merlins, you can undergo initiation to become an actual wizard. However, you do not get to become a wizard in this game.
Aw.
They knew they were going to be doing multiple games in the series, so they actually did a lot of like progression stuff early on in the first game, because they knew they were like, oh, well, we could just send them to do this in 2. That's actually the biggest thing that Quest for Glory did. Everything we do with our character in Quest for Glory 1 will carry over into Quest for Glory 2, and so on and so forth. You take the same character through all 4 Quest for Glory games. This is actually important information. This is one of the reasons you come talk to Zara in the first place, because you need to know about the wizard Erasmus. He lives in the tower northeast of town. You basically don't interact with him much unless you are a magic user. In which case, we get to play an awful game. This is the Halls of Magical Mystery. That's just another thing about, hey, you're going to head south eventually. Alright. Yeah, so by offering money to shopkeepers, you get the purchase menu. She sells potions of various kinds. Healing, power, vigor, which restores your stamina. And she also sells 3 of the spells that you can get in Quest for Glory 1. The Fetch, Flame, and Open spell. We do not have enough to get Flame, which is the only attack spell. But we do have the ability to get Fetch and Open. We're actually going to pick up the Fetch spell. Quick thing here to save. Bye, Grandma. Behold, centaurs.
Ah, okay, I see the back.
Yes. This is Hilde Ferdefern, daughter of Heinrich. They're farmers. They sell fruits and vegetables at the stall here. Dave? No. And they sell carrots, rutabagas, parsnips, potatoes. They also have an apple orchard, which we can actually go visit. We can pick up a whole bunch of them. There's no need to pick that up right now since we have spent most of our money. Yeah. Dry goods store that smells like a library. There's various things we can pick up here from this guy. And yeah, you were saying like 60 gold sounds high for a brigand leader. This town is actually getting starved to death, basically, if they didn't have the farm. And even then, the farmers are getting waylaid by brigands and whatnot, so...
Oh, no, not the money. I had no perception on the economics of this one. As we're talking about the Hero of the Realm title.
Oh, yeah. This guy doesn't have too much going on. He just wants to be an adventurer, but is stuck being a shopkeeper. He sells flasks, food, daggers, and armor. Armor, believe, doesn't have like any stat requirements or anything, but there's also, I think, the fighter is the only one who can wear it. Daggers can be both throwing weapons and melee weapons, as long as you have one. Food, we need food while we're out adventuring, although there are certain screens that don't count as being out, so you don't run out of stamina. And flasks are useful for picking up liquids and stuff.
Mm.
This is another house that exists only to be robbed. This is the baker and the butcher. They are.
Let's go to the Thieves Guild to provide random houses to be robbed.
Yeah, these are both gone fishing. And here's the tavern.
Believe me, it's far from the weirdest thing the Thieves Guild at Spielberg does.
There's some sort of paper on the ground here. It's starting to get suspicious. Hold off on our meetings for a bit, but I'll keep you posted by these notes. Okay, so I'm going to save us a bit of time and show off the relevant bits here. So, this screen exists only for one thing. That you either get drunk, or you can get ale for 1 silver, which you just drink. There is sweat, which is troll sweat, for 5 silvers. This is a trap. If you drink troll sweat, it is so strong that you pass out and you lose money because they rob you.
Makes sense.
And then there's the Dragon's Breath, which I cannot trigger right now, but if you pay 25 silvers for the Dragon's Breath, it will melt through your stomach and kill you.
Also fair.
That is what the goo is here. That is why there's a giant dragon's head on the cask.
Cards.
Yep. He does mention a stag in the forest, though. You're a lake to the south. And the bakery is likewise closed. They're also playing Go Fish with, like, triple-digit cards. And we cannot do anything with this guy right now. Except for Thieves Guild. And he ignores you. There's no way to randomly guess that. The answer does not show up unless you know it.
Okay.
There we go. Weirdo alley back here.
It's even harder when you're doing begging in a random alley that almost no one walks down.
Yeah. There is a point to this alley. In that, and yeah, this guy will tell you, don't drink the dragon's breath. If you have not already figured out not to drink the dragon's breath. Okay, so we have discovered everything there is to discover in Spielberg. I always forget whether or not it's a real door. So let us head out. I pull up my map here. Okay, so the map is actually on the smaller side for a King's Quest game, but is very dense with stuff. Basically, we are in the middle of a gigantic grid that, for the most part, doesn't have a lot of dead ends in it. And practically every corner of the map has something that you want to see. I'm just going to head this way first. Aha! That's what I was looking for. Aha! A talking fox! He also looks like some sort of hand puppet.
I was about to say, is that a character from that one recent game, My Friendly Neighborhood?
Is to be polite, even to rude people. Oh, and Baba Yaga put an enchantment on the Baron's daughter. And we need to talk to the Dryad.
I do not like the animation for that fox talking because occasionally it looks like there's an eyeball right at the tip of his mouth.
So what you're saying is it really is just a guy in a suit.
Just a hand puppet. Keep going this way. And haha! This is the healer's hut. We're actually going to be coming back here for quite a while. Yeah. So she buys spell components. So if we find any spell components out, we can get cash for them. And she also sells stuff to us. I believe she's cheaper than... She is slightly cheaper than Zana in town. But she sells much cheaper stamina potions and this undead potion, which at the moment we know nothing about.
Is that yet another trap option, or is it actually something useful?
And that is actually something useful. We need the undead potion to beat the game. Yeah, and her actual name's Amelia Appleberry. She has Terry, the pterosaur, that chirps like a bird. Yes, and pterosaurs can grow quite large in the south. Ring is lost. Oh, you can get 6 golds for a ring. Let's see. So, Irana's flowers, magic mushrooms, troll beard, and cheetar claws. I believe that is in order of how much she will pay for them from least to most.
So stuff we can pick, stuff we can pick.
And 2 things that we need to
what?
fight something for.
Yeah.
She will also buy back empty flasks, because when you drink a potion, you get a flask back.
Ah.
Although, like I said, we do need to actually have some flasks for some water in the game, and for various other liquids that we need. Yeah, trolls are found only at night or in caves. And she will just give us 2 healing potions for the Beard of a Troll. Cheetars are man-panthers. I have no idea why the half-man, half-panther is called a cheetar.
A minotaur is a half man, half bull. That's called a minotaur.
That's because they're from Minos, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's still Torek is still like half person, half thing.
One other weird
Still
fish.
better than Werehog.
True. Andrew Groot. Has to be pulled from a dead man's grave at midnight. It's mostly only used for evil purposes. Alright, well.
Then why are you telling us how to harvest it?
In case you were wondering, yes, you can absolutely become a necromancer.
Okay. Now that we've learned all about the healer, we have the climbing tree. If you have the climbing skill, which we don't, you could practice your climbing by climbing the climbing tree. However, we are a wizard and we do not engage in paltry tricks.
That seems more like the opposite. We're a wizard, and we specifically engage in
Specifically in
paltry tricks.
I'm sorry. We don't engage in needless physicality.
We're not mundane.
Also, I ruined that perfectly good nest, but I did find a gold ring.
Is it
Aha!
precious to you?
And she walks back to her table. Six golds and 2 healing potions. All right. Let's see. Now, I suppose we should go inquire about all those missing people.
Yep.
Hello, Carl.
Hey, Carl.
This is the castle of Baron Steven Spielberg. And yeah, ever since the loss of his family, the Baron just kind of shut himself in and has not been actually doing any ruling. Elsa got stolen away by magic. Bernard von Spielberg went out on a hunt and did not return. Everybody's blaming Baba Yaga. So yeah, first he beefed with Baba Yaga, and then she cursed the graveyard. And then he beefed with her again. And then sent guards to her, and only one guard came back.
I think there's a lesson to be learned here.
Don't beef with Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
And then the captain dissolved after being used as a puppet.
Yeah, no, the lessons definitely do not beef with Baba Yaga.
And yeah, she's just up to the northwest. We're also not, like, locked out or anything. We can actually just go into the castle. So there's technically a lot to do at the castle, but there isn't a lot to do for the magic user. There is a stable over here. Hello, pony. The one thing that we can do here is, in addition to the cleaning job, we can also sleep in the stable. This is one of the safe places to sleep. We're not looking for it for right now. If we say yes to him, then we go in and we clean the stable. It takes up time, but then he'll give us money in exchange for it. I believe it is also strength training. Strength or endurance training. Also, occasionally there will be a guy here in the center courtyard. If the guy is here, and if you have a sword, and if you have the parry skill, he will teach you sword fighting, which will increase your weapon use and your parry. Castle Spielberg. Baron's daughter's been gone for years. Eric's to the right. Talk about his bald spot. And now we've made him mad. So, like,
All right, but what about the baronet's residence?
leave. Castle gate goes down. There we go. Huzzah! Another centaur. And basically, he's just telling you, if for some reason you just immediately turned around and left town after getting in and did not see her, he'll tell you where the produce is. Yeah, he doesn't know a lot about the Baron and stuff. Basically, he can't run fast anymore because the brigands broke his leg. Well,
On the bright side, in a bit, we'll have centaur glue.
I feel like that's a sticking point with him. Okay. There are two places we can go from here. Aha! A goblin. Prepare for battle. This is combat.
Oh no, a combat system.
So, combat is timing based. Every enemy has actions. You need to get in between their actions and give them the business.
Stab that man repeatedly in the face.
Yes. Wow, you threw that dead goblin a long way. Let's make sure to come over here. Take silvers.
So you're saying is this goblet is animated to only be dead on those specific rocks?
Yes. The trick with this place is that this is the goblin lair, and depending on how far along you are in the quest and how skilled you are, a number of these goblins will pop out and actually try and attack you, and you can get into consecutive fights. However, once you're good enough to actually win those consecutive fights, it's a good way to get a lot of money at one time. This is one of the edges of the map.
Those are chicken legs. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Those are in fact chicken legs. You know what? We're just gonna leave. Actually, we have to do one thing first. You can give me a glowing gem for my eyes, then I'll let you in the gate. That's how we actually get
Access to
yeah, that's how we actually get through and go into the hut with chicken feet.
Hmm.
Oh no!
yeah, that looks
Oh,
dangerous.
Allosaurus. The thing we did there real quick was we did the spell Zap, which imbues our weapon with lightning.
Oh, Death from Aurora.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you run out of stamina, that's bad. But thankfully, we saved just before we started our little search around the area. So basically, this first session is going to be a bunch of running around and showing off the various places we can go, and then we'll get into gear as to actually, doing the things we need to. This is not necessarily a luxury that we will have in later games, but for the moment, we're good. Hey, it's the town graveyard. That's a strange and evil root. That's mean we want that. And we blew it. We have yanked it from the ground, and it just dissolves in our hands. And we have met the first. No. This is not a no-win scenario, but it is a no-win scenario for the mage. Once again, restore.
Behold, the power of save's coming.
Yeah, so.
Or as it was called back then, saving.
Oh no, the lizard. We have full SP this time. Get him!
Yeah, poke him.
Ow. We almost got him. So yeah, basically on any screen that is not one of the special screens, you can get attacked by something. We will have various means to take care of monsters that show up before we actually get into combat later. We will have various methods to either do damage or just cancel out a fight before it starts. But we don't have any of those right now. Magic Fairy Circle. Large and unusual mushrooms. Alright. So contrary to what you might think, there is no problem with us coming here and picking fairy mushrooms during the daytime.
Ah.
This is not the case at night. But while we are here, we definitely do want to pick some of these mushrooms.
Mushrooms have weight, apparently.
Yes. However, the weight is fairly minuscule.
Yes.
I have 9 mushrooms right now. Each weighs 0.01 or 0.1 pounds. And yeah, there's no real limit to this, so we can just sit here and click until we're satisfied. That being said,
Until we. Go ahead.
That being said, you don't get a lot for mushrooms. White Sag.
Why do I feel like that's a transformed family member of the Baron?
He's where we need to go. Thank you for moving.
I'll go with you have even the slightest modicum of genre savvy, Vince. There's your answer.
I am Wood with the Woods. So this is the Dryad, obviously, and since the Fox told us to go talk to the Dryad, this is our next immediate quest. Spore-spitting Spirea of the North, then we planted elsewhere, and presumably magical plants. Okay, thank you. I'm confident I know most of the safe sleep locations in the game. I always forget if the Dryad is one or not. I think she is. Technically, we can sleep anywhere. We could sleep in the middle of the forest if we wanted. It's just if you sleep in the middle of the forest, I believe it's an automatic game over, especially at night.
Well, that's a thing.
The Antwerp, ladies and gentlemen, in all of its repetitive sound file glory.
I mean, let's be fair. You mentioned what type of computer you used to play this with your dad on. Wasn't exactly known for having the greatest of sound cards.
Yep. So this is the archery range. This is where, if you had the throwing skill, you can practice throwing. Mostly by throwing daggers into the target here. Again, these are not things that wizards trifle themselves with. A goblin! 6 silver coins. We are almost at nightfall, which means we need to go. Oh no! I misshot, and from the very right edge of the screen, we were being chased off by one of the cheetars.
Ah.
Okay, so at a certain time, the gates of Spielberg close.
Ah.
And we can no longer get back into town. This is why it is helpful to remember all the places that you can go for safe sleeping. That's the only way we get our stamina back. So, we're going to very rapidly make our way to one of the spots I know is a safe spot. We have not actually gone yet. Here we go. And yeah, whenever you enter a place for the first time and it's one of the safe spaces, it will say that you feel you are safe here. If we check the stone, the stone here is in writing that we can't quite understand. However, these are magic flowers, and this fruit here is magically satisfying. If we rest here, we will not be eaten by the were creatures in the woods. This is actually one of the better safe spaces in the wilds, because it also has the tree that gives you the food.
Ah.
Alright. I saw you, goblin.
Yep, that is a goblin.
The nice thing about goblins is it's very easy to get them into a loop. Five silver coins. Saurus. Okay, we're back in a safe location. Don't mind me. I'm off to peddle my magical wares. Yeah, that's the other thing, is you can pick all the mushrooms you want, but she has like a set amount she'll buy per day. And they'll only let you carry so many of the flowers.
Hmm.
Together we have 10 gold and 30 silver pieces. Alright. Oops.
I assume gold is 100 to 1 with silver.
No, it can't be. We started the game with 4 gold and 10 silver, bought a 60 silver spell, and only had 10 silver left over. Speaking of buying things. Yeah. So we need the flame spell. Get the open spell. Thank you for the magic. I have the power. And because I've talked about it for a little bit, there. Get the flask.
But you cannot get ye flask.
Okay. So, there's one more place I want to visit. The crystal clear waters. I don't quite think they were thinking about perspective in that one.
That's a pretty obvious door.
Yep. And, well, we are a wizard and we do not respect privacy.
Curse our lack of skills.
Unfortunately, we can't climb, so
Yep.
our ability to open a door does not assist us in any way.
This actually needs 2 separate things, and we only have one of the spells needed to do it. There's another reason we came over here. Ah, right, I forgot we need it from inside his cave. Oh, alright then. Alright. So on to that thing the Dryad told us to do. The thing being finding the very specific point where we're supposed to click to go next screen over.
Which pixel is it that will let us move to the next screen? Flowers on rocks.
Yes. Now, there are actually a multitude of different ways you can solve this puzzle. We will see how the fighter handles it when we do the fighter video. The thief can actually use a throwing dagger to like peg the seed as it's flying. But we as a wizard, of course.
We gonna fetch?
Yeah, we gonna fetch. Yeah. And here is where we run into our first issue. The spells also have levels.
Ah,
And our fetch spell is not good enough to fetch the seed from the flower. So we will have to
so what we're saying is we have to. So what we're saying is we have to grind the fetch spell up.
We do, yes. Oh, Probosaurus. And then we get to this. Never heard anything about the Great Wall of Spielberg before. Willkommen auf Zauberberg. Yeah, so we heard about this from Zara. This is Zauberberg. And as you can tell by the magic, this is the Tower of Erasmus. Yes, this is why we save beforehand, because you need a certain level of stamina just to get here and not be exhausted. You have the chance to do dumb answers. If you do dumb answers, he will kick your ass out. I want to be a pirate. This has not come up yet. Talking with someone in town, I forget who, will tell you that it was actually Irana. In fact, the
Right.
glade that we found, the place where we got the flowers and can eat the fruit, that
Uh-huh.
is Irana's piece.
Ah,
It's the famous Duncan Dragon. casket with a stick shift?
Yep, that looks like a Merlin.
It looks subtle and quick to anger. Doubt that. At least the subtle part.
But tis.
I knew it.
This is a look of a wizard that can be trusted.
Dude, that guy is high as a kite.
And yet another weird animatronic animal.
I'm gonna say that right there is a one of the animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's.
I do know the spell open.
Yes.
Do you know the spell fetch? Yes.
Yes.
Can you cast flame dart? Yes. No, we do not know the trigger. The learning scroll to the hermit. You'll have to talk to him about it. Okay.
Didn't realize we had flame dart.
Out of that, I thought we didn't pick that up.
Oh, no, we bought all the spells that,
Yeah, okay.
Flame Dart spell. Expertise is 7.
Ah.
The 3 spells that Zana has are Open, Fetch, and Flame Dart. And we already knew Zap, because that's the starting spell.
I must have stepped away when you picked up Flame Dart.
I saw him pick up all the spells. I thought it was called something else.
It might have been called, like, Flame or something, just for short.
Yeah.
All right, Ratney Dangerfield, knocking off.
Stop stealing from Shakespeare. See? He knows what's up. Yeah, you can very quickly tell who the more intelligent one in the pair is. You don't want to rip off Merlin. Then it goes to the
No.
Council of Merlins, and then nobody wants that. They're wacky. It's like there was a medieval times in a Chuck E. Cheese, and they got in a fender bender. Yes, occasionally he will interrupt and just tell you stupid jokes. But Tiss. She also cheats the cards. Granted, all wizards cheat at cards. And here's where we learn the actual curse that got put on everyone. On von Spielberg and all his clan is cursed. And thy will shall come full measure, so shall you lose all that you treasure. Of course, the problem is that for every curse, there's an equal and opposite counter curse. Usually works against one against the curse in the first place. And here's the thing. Come a hero from the east. Free the man from in the beast. Bring the child out the band. Drive the cursor from the land. She has a face that would break anything but a magic mirror. Mechanical wink noise.
Someone get some oil for those eyes.
5 Nights at Erasmus's.
Well, I guess we could sleep here 5 times.
I'd rather not.
It's probably one of the safe places to sleep.
I
I love
like,
this rat.
I do like his digs. Small golden magic mirror with a dragon handle on it. Oh, there you go. If you find a magic mirror with a face on it, it reflects spells. Rasmus's Razzle Dazzle Root Beer. So it is worth noting that there is... Oh, first off, that's a dumb joke.
Ugh.
And 2, it is worth noting that there is a large amount of supplemental material because they actually included the handbook for heroics. The Famous Adventurers Correspondence School book with the game. And there's a whole
Excellent.
bunch of stuff in there. Erasmus's Razzle Dazzle Root Beer is a reference to the fact that the Dazzle spell is actually named Erasmus's Razzle Dazzle. It's very much a Jim Dark Magic's Black Tentacles situation.
Ah.
Where the first wizard who makes a thing gets to name it.
I kind of admit I really miss that era of games where you got fun little booklets and stuff that helped with the game. One of my favorites is still the piece of paper that is the letter from your uncle that you get in Star Ocean. Or not Star Ocean, Star Tropics.
Wasn't that also effectively something you needed to beat the game?
Yes, because at a certain point you were told to wet the paper to reveal the code that tells you for where you need to go.
So it was effectively DRM.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, this game actually had copy protection too originally. It requires you to quote a certain word from a certain line from the Adventurers Correspondence School book. That doesn't exist in the GOG version.
That's fair. That Star Tropics thing was actually the reason because I'd been renting it from Blockbuster, and I reached that point and realized I need this paper, and so that was the next NES game I ended up getting, and I never beat it because goddamn that last area is difficult as hell. But I wouldn't have gotten there without that piece of paper.
Basically, if you talk to him about becoming a wizard, he goes like, "Oh yes, the lands of Shapir are where the wizards meet." The lands of Shapir being the second game.
Ah.
Unfortunately, I skipped through that one. That's the magic one. There we go. Yeah, Erasmus does not think very highly of the wizard that they've got working for the brigands. No, that's a necromancer. The puns.
This explains a lot about your humor. You grew up with this.
Yep. Alright. So we've finally gotten through everything except for Mage's Maze, which is the thing he was quizzing us on spells for.
Ah.
Huzzah! Check something real quick.
Nice of him to teleport us out.
Nice of him to teleport us out, but we only have 3 stamina left.
Let's quickly find somewhere to sleep.
Yeah, let's find somewhere to sleep. Closest is going to be nowhere convenient. We'll head back to town. Saurus. This is the main road, so you always know you can just head west and get back to town from here. Let's finally go into the inn for once. This is Shamin, he's the innkeeper. Behold, America was working on Catgirl technology too. It was an arms race. So I do not remember the name of their species off the top of my head, but they're from Shapir.
I mean, I know what my initial thought upon seeing any cat person is in a setting like this, but wrong company.
There is some incredible Khajiit energy to them, if that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. They have wares if you have coin. It is nice to see that these cat people are a little less drug addicted.
Yeah, he's not one for conversation, unfortunately, so not much we can learn from him.
Right, so are we actually going to sleep?
We are actually going to go sleep at... I'm just going to go see if the Dryad's place is a sleep spot, but we're going to save first, just in case. Waiting for someone. Oh. He will give us information for silvers. No, we don't care about those because we know all those. Basically, the only hint stuff he has that is worth anything is the 2 gold option, in which he tells you hints about the quest. But we don't actually need to do that. A, because I'm following through a walkthrough and my own memories of the game. And B, because we're not going for a full money or full points thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's no need to grind out and waste gold on his advice. Partially because some of his advice is just genuinely bad. Like that. Goblin. Antelope. Sorry, White Stag. I can't hear that particular synth drum noise without thinking it's gonna break down into like a club beat.
I am waiting for the club remix of the soundtrack to this game.
Wrong menu. Yeah. We do not actually need to do a full night's rest to get most of our stamina back.
I mean, we don't seem to have that high of stamina anyways.
Nope. That's partially why. Fairies. There are 2 clues we have about where to go next. Well, okay, there's 1 clue we have about where to go next, and there is, and then there's this place, which we were close to, and I decided to go to.
Well, that's a thing.
These are meeps.
That is an unholy abomination, sin against God.
They use rocks for doors. They live in holes. They know nothing about brigands. Well, even if I am a wizard, I am also an adventure game protagonist, and I do want some green fur. However, we do want to talk to this guy for one more thing because we are the magic user. He found a scroll lying around. We now know detect magic.
Why do I feel like they're going to later test us on the colors of those things?
Actually, no.
Ah.
I am surprised as you are. That's actually the majority of the interaction with them. We meet them. Hi, they're the meeps. We get some green fur from them. Alright, now the actual story clue that we've got, or at least a next thing that we could be doing, is there's a hermit who knows magic. That's a source. Good thing the old Sierra edge of the screen trick works. Fair enough.
Now, how do we get up there?
Detect magic. With detect magic, we find that there's an invisible ladder there.
Ah.
And now we
That.
can use the open spell. Yes, we have to stand aside so we are not whacked in the face
By a
and
door.
lose health.
Oh, we're bad at this.
Man, that's an arrow edge.
I honestly forget what the trick is to that. Give me a second.
Ah, the tranquil sounds of staticky water.
Sounds of staticky water. Okay.
Didn't need the open spell at all.
Did not need the open spell at all. It is a way to practice the open spell.
Ah.
This is Henry the Hermit. Henry the Eighth eyes. Yes, we hermits know how to keep a mouth shut. We know the porch gets slippery. Trust us, we know. And Erasmus taught him some spells. Yes, I do want the scroll. It's one half of the reason we came here.
Trigger.
Yes, and that is the last spell that we have to know to play Mage Maze. Although we can learn other spells to give ourselves a benefit in. Not good. He borrowed the mirror that Henry borrowed from Erasmus. So, likely the Warlock has the magic mirror. And this is also counts as a safe space, by the way. We can sleep here if we want.
Ah.
Mid-afternoon on day 2.
Is there a time limit in this game?
No, there is not. That cannot be said for other games, but for this game, there is no time. You can also come here for rations and games of cribbage. Okay, there is one other spot that we have not checked on. And that space happens to be the next place we need to go for the quest. This is one of my favorite characters in the game because I am a sucker for any character that rhymes. Or otherwise has poetry as their baseline form of conversation. So it is entirely possible to... Well, it is possible to fight with Bragi here. However, I don't advise it, at least not this early. Because he will pound you into the ground like a tent spike. That sends forth the snow. Fiercer in fighting than foes in their fury, fear now this frost giant fighter.
Rub it up, dub. Get the fuck out of my way.
So, the important thing to take away from this conversation is Bragi is not violent, he's just hungry. There's no more hunting in the valley. Like, all the animals have been chased out. So, he is willing to barter with us. If we give him fruit, he will give us a gem that glows. A jewel from Jotunheim. And yeah, we specifically need to get him enough fruit that it will fill his fists. And so, the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out exactly how much gold we need.
A lot.
Okay. Rations, I have 4 food rations. So apples are 1 silver. How much gold right now? Gold and 7 silver. So I went and looked it up, and it is 10 silvers to a gold.
Ah.
I don't know why we had 10 silvers in our bag when we started, but we had, 4 4 gold and 10 silvers when we started. So we need to get. We need to have 5 gold because we need 50 apples, and they are 1 silver apiece.
Also, it probably doesn't convert until you hit 11.
That is true. Yeah. Okay. What's our stats look like? Stamina.
Our health is not great.
Yep. I think we're just gonna go in.
All right.
And...
I had to step out for a short bit. I will be back.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, there's a weird guy here. Huh. There's a traveler. Traveler doing a Monty Python sketch. I don't want either. I just want to talk to this man. So this man is Abdullah Du. He is a merchant who tried to get into the valley and promptly got robbed, like every other merchant who tries to get into the valley. And they had
All brigands include a minotaur.
And they had a minotaur. See, it's weird. We keep hearing about the wizard. The wizard keeps doing things that ain't wizards. He's just been throwing, like, sneezing powder at people.
Look at sand. Cha cha cha.
Basically. Head of a bull, body of man. It's a minotaur. What do you want? Leader was wearing a cloak. Voice was rather high pitched. Wizard giggles a lot. We've heard this from a bunch of other people. And his guards all ran away. All right. Let's go ahead. Night's rest. Okay. Genie's Lamp for rent. Inquire in Quest for Glory 2. Trial by Fire for details. That's another cheap plug. Okay. Now it is time for fight time. So, you can run around, you can fight a bunch of different things, you can if you're good enough at combat, or if you're strong enough, like a fighter class, you can go and fight like cheetars and the bigger creatures. But as far as the magic user goes, I found that the best way to earn money is to just do the runs of flowers from Iran's Peace. And fight any of the goblins or things that are on your way. Not the most glamorous of ways to get money, but we don't need a ton of money. We only need like 30 silvers. Because we already had 2 gold. A spell has been placed on the stone. Well, we just learned the ability to... Nope. Okay. I thought there was a way to actually read the stone. I was mistaken on that. Osaurus. Every time I rake, and then this asshole comes through my garden. We have 2 and 4. So we only need to do this 2 more times. Don't stop raking on my account. Okay, on stamina. A brigand! Get him on the neck. Damn it. Okay. Luckily we saved right before we started our muddy quest.
Yep.
But yeah, as you saw there, we can use the Flame Dart spell before combat. To actually do some damage before the fight starts. You can actually, if you kite enough, you can actually like keep doing that. But that also requires a significant amount of magic points. Yes, the fruit of Arana's tree also restores your magic. So if you've been fairly heavily doing flame darts. Hey, 6 silver coins. And what's our level of 13? Why, we'll be a super powerful wizard in no time. Sharp. One thing I want to talk about. Ah, yes, the undead unguent. Fairy dust. There's another hint for us. If we wait until nightfall, we might be able to get fairy dust if we can find fairies. Must be pulled from a dead man's grave at midnight. So yeah, if we do that, the mandrake root won't vanish.
And we need the Mandrake root mandatorily for something.
Yes. Yeah, another weird thing. The brigand leader actually brought the centaur guy, Heinrich, here to be healed after they roughed him up.
Huh.
Alright. Save again. So we don't have to redo this whole section. Fight time. Give it a little bit of time so it can spawn a monster. Ah,
A goblin. No longer a goblin.
forgot to eat fruit. Oh, right, we're full.
Ah.
We can't eat the fruit. This is why we checked and didn't get into the unwinnable combat. Oh, that's even more unwinnable combat. As the downside of the fruit is you can only eat the fruit when you're hungry.
Ah.
Saurus. Two and 28. One more run should do it. A brigand. More flowers. Now, we have enough. Go and buy the apples we need. Oh. Oh, they made this nicer. I forgot that was a change they made in the VGA version.
Huh.
They're 10 for a silver.
Yeah, it's 10 apples, not single apples.
$50 small apples. It's like 16 Smurfs and change.
What's even changed for Smurfs?
One of the Smurflings. Oh, hey, look, it's that guy from the dinosaur show.
It is, in fact, that guy from the dinosaur show.
That is an extremely dated reference.
That's a deep cut.
Hey, Broggy. I have brought you apples. now he is going home. Hey, we didn't even have to throw a pie at a Yeti. It's a step up
Not
from
this
our
time.
first Sierra game.
Yeah. Now, get off the screen, on the other hand.
The left and right sides of the screen are very sensitive for some reason on the Scum VM emulation that I'm doing here. Okay. So we got ourselves a gem. Okay. Now, it is time to go burn a shit ton of magic points. Remember how I said we're going to have to train up that fetch skill?
Yep.
I believe every one of these does it by one. Yeah.
Yep. Right. How high do we need it?
Still working on that spell, I see.
Yeah. Still working on the spell. We did get the money for the stuff, and we gave the Frost Giant the apples.
Nice.
So unfortunately, the guide I'm following does not have the number required.
Ah,
We're out of points anyway.
More points than we can imagine.
Oh no, a brigand. Unfortunately, there does come a point in the game where you do just have to grind a little bit, unfortunately. That being said, this is probably a good place for us to call it, so that I can do that grinding off screen.
Yep.
Anyway, so thank you for joining us in our playthrough of Quest for Glory 1, So You Want to Be a Hero. We're actually making pretty good progress through the Magic User campaign here. Join us on Sunday for a completely different change of pace as we return to SD Gundam G Generation Crossrays with what is possibly one of the best AUs they have ever come up with, Iron-Blooded Orphans. Join us on Monday for the continuing adventures of Pokemon Scarlet and Scarlet as we go through our All Wonder Trade run. And join us back here on Thursday as we continue through the Adventurer's Correspondence course and try to become a hero in Quest for Glory. Until then, I've been your host, the Krampus.
I've been Shiv.
I've been Hunter Green.
And I'm Vincent.
Have a good one, everyone.